I think more people want something in-depth in terms of the review of the Tom Bower book than don't. So some people just wanted one episode, other people want more. So I am going to do the first.
No, I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
When I was pregnant, and Harry says, oh, there was a little discussion before we got married. Well, something's wrong right there, but anyway.
He had to admit that actually those stories had been published by other newspapers, days prior, and that's where they got the information from. Or the fact sometimes the palace released information themselves and Prince Harry wasn't aware of it, or the fact that, it was just sources and friends or people close to Prince Harry.
I wonder, when you watched Meghan Markle speak out, what went through your mind?
Public service, it's a bright, sharp, hot spotlight, and most people don't understand it, nor should they. The thing that I always keep in mind is that none of this is about us in public service. It's about the people that we serve.
All Samantha's questions from her lawyers, whether she lied about Samantha, about Thomas Markle in her notorious interview with Oprah Winfrey. So that's a major breakthrough for Samantha Markle, for Thomas Markle, and for the truth.
Prince Harry thought he could silence the critics, but Lady C just turned the volume all the way up. After reports surfaced that Harry is looking to sue both Lady Colin Campbell and royal biographer Tom Bower, things got messy. And by messy we mean royal secrets, shady birth rumors, and lawsuits that could blow the whole Sussex narrative wide open. From viral baby bump theories to courtroom threats, this is the tea the palace did not want served. So grab your snacks, because we're diving deep into the scandals shaking Buckingham, and trust me, you'll want to stay till the end.
Is married to a professional journalist who was the editress of the Evening Standard.
Fondness for, shall we say, stretching the truth. Could the single case see Harry caught up in his own web of lies? Well, to answer this and much more, I'm delighted to welcome the world's top royal author. He, of course, published Revenge, Meghan, Harry and the War Between the Windsors, Tom Bower. So, Tom, this feels like a significant development tonight. What's happening?
Well, if I was Meghan, I'd be undoubtedly very worried tonight. What the judge decided.
I was shocked to hear that. I mean, is that who he is?
Well, I think Harry is a very complicated person because he's not very intelligent and undoubtedly remains damaged by the early death of his mother, Diana. And he very foolishly blames the media for her, in his words, murdered her, which is complete nonsense. But I think he loved the adulation. He loved it when he was being praised, especially when he was a soldier. But then he became criticized.
That Samantha only called herself Markle when Meghan was engaged to Harry, which Samantha says is a total lie. Interestingly, Samantha also says that Meghan's story about having a Ford Explorer where she could only get in through the boot was also untrue. She goes through a whole load of Meghan's lies. So by July, that is what the judge has said, these depositions, this cross-examination of Meghan will take place for the trial to start in October. So Meghan really has a problem because until today, her lawyers have been saying this is so ridiculous, we refuse to even engage with Samantha Markle. They stonewalled.
Prince Harry is reportedly fuming, and it's not just about headlines anymore. Word on the street is he's now considering full-on legal action against royal biographers Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower. The same duo who've made a career digging up palace secrets just went there, calling out the odd secrecy surrounding the births of Archie and Lilibet, and let's just say they didn't tiptoe around it. They flat out suggested that there are inconsistencies in the whole birth narrative. No hospital photos, no clear confirmations, and no solid timelines. For royal births, which usually follow strict protocols and end up with those iconic hospital step photo ops, that's weird. It's really weird.
Very juicy stuff. First of all, your reaction, Prince Harry popping up at the United Nations, of all places, on Nelson Mandela Day, preaching away about climate change again, having apparently got there by private jet again, preaching about politics in America, which no royal's supposed to ever do, so the Constitution's being wound back and so on, whining about sort of the terrible, painful year he's had and all the rest of it. What do you make of this? Why does he do this? What does he think he achieves by it?
Well, and also saying all that work to do in Africa, which he dedicated his life to, but prefers now to paddle in the Pacific in...
Unintelligent man who is seeking a role and has got really nobody on whom he could rely, which is in the end where Meghan stepped in. I mean, a needy man met a woman who could help him with his needs.
Now, when Harry caught wind of what was said during their broadcast, insiders say he went off behind closed doors. And honestly, of course, who wouldn't? They didn't just throw shade, they dropped a whole storm. They touched on his personal behavior, hinted at things being covered up, and basically challenged the whole Sussex story. According to them, Harry and Meghan have been carefully shaping a public image that doesn't exactly match reality. And they believe it's all about keeping control, especially when finances are tight. But here's where it gets even messier. Lady C and Bauer, they're not rattled. In fact, they seem ready for the smoke. These two are pros at exposing royal drama, and they've got receipts, sources, documents, testimonies, you name it. They're standing firm, saying they're not just stirring the pot for clout. They believe what they're sharing is legitimate. Lady C even gave the vibe of, let him sue me, like she's more than ready to go toe-to-toe in court. And if that happens, legal experts are already warning that Prince Harry might have to open up personal records in the process, including, yep, those birth documents.
Meghan is a person who controls the narrative. Meghan was on a manhunt. She was looking for a husband, and she carefully researched all his strengths and, more importantly, his weaknesses. After the Oprah Winfrey interview, it clearly was very toxic.
To make things even more suspicious, Buckingham Palace has stayed dead silent. No denials, no clarifications. Just a classic, we don't engage in speculation kind of statement. And you know how the internet works. Silence like that only makes people dig harder. Clips from the interview have already gone viral. Hashtags are trending, and people are revisiting old footage of Meghan's pregnancies like they're CSI analysts. The bottom line? This could be way bigger than just media scandal. If Harry and Meghan's story gets picked apart in court, it could seriously damage their credibility, and maybe even their standing in royal history. And the more Harry tries to control the story, the more it feels like the narrative is slipping through his fingers.
He had to admit that actually those stories had been published by other newspapers, days prior, and that's where they got the information from. Or the fact sometimes the palace released information themselves and Prince Harry wasn't aware of it, or the fact that it was just sources and friends or people close to Prince Harry, and that's the difficulty in this particular case, actually proving phone hacking, which Prince Harry clearly has not done. And in many instances, he said, that's what we're here to find out. I don't know how you can really bring a case against someone if you don't have any hard evidence. I think he assumed that because of the number of people that are also suing the MGN group, he would have a stronger case or be able to at least prove to the judge that some unlawful activity has gone on. But he didn't have the comfort of being in Oprah's living room. He was being interviewed by a very seasoned barrister who made him look like a lot of the allegations that he was bringing against the MGN group was just based on pure speculation and Harry's paranoia and his disdain for the media, which he hasn't shied away from.
And just when you think it couldn't get any wilder, Tom Bauer came in with the receipts. He claimed his investigative team actually looked into the hospitals where Meghan was supposedly giving birth. And guess what? Nothing. No traceable records. Not a single piece of concrete evidence. Now that's a bombshell. Lady C didn't hold back either. She bluntly suggested that this strange lack of proof might be hiding something much bigger, like surrogacy. And while that topic has always floated around the edges of royal gossip, she brought it center stage. She even looked straight into the camera and referenced those viral videos of Meghan's baby bump looking, let's just say, not so natural. According to her, no pregnant woman moves like that. And honestly, the internet agreed. It sparked an avalanche of speculation.
I had always looked at it more as, oh, she landed this prince. That's what she was out for. We know that she was hunting for someone of wealth, of notoriety in Great Britain, and she landed, the biggest you could land. But it worked the other way, too. He was feeling irrelevant. She comes along. She's a, somewhat well-known person, or at least that was his impression. And she's mixed race. She could elevate his star as well. It worked both ways.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, what I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards when her...
Now, royal watchers say this is exactly why Harry is so rattled. These aren't just rumors in shady forums anymore. This is being talked about on major broadcasts. If the public starts questioning the legitimacy of his children's births, then the entire Sussex image, the one they've spent years crafting, could fall apart like a house of cards. But here's the twist. Lady C and Bower are adamant. They're not doing this for clout. They claim their information is backed by credible sources, internal palace records, and even eyewitnesses. One of them even added something cryptic like, and then it's validation by an RBC. Whatever that could mean, but it sure sounded serious. And it wasn't just the birth rumors. Bower also took aim at Harry's ongoing claims, security fears, financial struggles, even how he and Meghan handled their royal exit. According to Bower, the couple have been using the media to control the narrative. But that strategy might finally be crumbling under pressure.
No, I choose people who don't want to be written about, on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know. I wrote 4 years ago a book about Prince Charles, and it was a story about how he had rehabilitated himself after Diana's death, and how Camilla also had to be rehabilitated, and it was a #1. It was a fascinating story. So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And obviously I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter. You can't beat the real story. I mean, that's the excitement of writing these sort of books, that in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
So how did Harry reportedly react? Full-on denial mode. And just like that, the defamation lawyers were called. But here's where Lady C truly dropped the mic. With her signature sass and zero fear, she leaned in and basically dared Harry to sue her. Let him sue me, she said, cool as ever. And honestly, that kind of confidence hit home for viewers who were already raising eyebrows at how the Sussexes tend to shut down anyone who challenges them. Lady C even warned, if this ever goes to court, Harry might end up exposing way more than he ever intended. While Harry's legal team is scrambling behind the scenes, there's one big question echoing louder and louder online. What exactly is he so afraid might come out? According to royal insiders, this isn't just a PR disaster anymore. It's something way bigger. They're saying the stakes for Prince Harry have never been this high. The growing storm around Lady C and Tom Bower's explosive claims, it's not just about reputation or headlines. It could actually have constitutional consequences.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, what I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards, when her marriage had crashed and she couldn't find anyone in Canada at the time. And she wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And there's no doubt she targeted Harry and found someone who was a childhood friend of his who could introduce them. And then on the days before they met at their blind meeting in a club in London, she researched Harry very carefully.
In the world of royalty, things like bloodlines and legitimacy aren't just tradition, they're everything. They affect titles, inheritance, and the whole structure of the monarchy's future. So if people start questioning the legitimacy of Archie and Lilibet's births, that could unravel everything that Harry and Meghan have worked to protect. And with two veteran authors openly saying they're ready to bring evidence to court, yeah, it's no longer just tabloid gossip.
I wonder, when you watched Meghan Markle speak out, what went through your mind?
Public service, it's a bright, sharp, hot spotlight, and most people don't understand it, nor should they. The thing that I always keep in mind is that none of this is about us. in public service. It's about the people that we serve. I always try to push the light back out and focus it on the folks that we're actually here to serve.
Bauer didn't pull punches either. During the broadcast, he said his team quietly investigated hospital records, specifically Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital and Portland Hospital in London, the two places Meghan was reportedly meant to give birth. But according to him, there was nothing. No proof. He said that if Meghan gave birth in either hospital, it happened invisibly. There was just no trace of it. And just like that, social media exploded. People started digging up old footage of Meghan's pregnancy, slowing down the clips, analyzing her every move. Viewers pointed out strange moments, her stomach appearing to fold or shift unnaturally, and what was once written off as conspiracy suddenly didn't seem so crazy anymore. Lady C even added more fire to the mix. She reminded everyone that royal births usually follow very strict traditions. Doctors are named publicly, hospital steps are used for official photos, and the palace releases detailed birth announcements. But with Archie and Lilibet, none of that happened. According to her, the vagueness wasn't accidental, it was intentional. And let's just say her comments hit home. A lot of people already had questions about Harry and Meghan's story, and this only made the doubts louder, especially since Buckingham Palace didn't exactly help. They issued a vague statement about not engaging in speculation, but they didn't deny anything either. That silence, for many, spoke volumes.
She researched Harry very carefully and knew exactly what buttons to press, that he would like Africa, was interested in animals, was interested in philanthropy. She's very tactile, she's very seductive, and she landed him on the first night, even on his own admission. He says, I realized on the first date, she was the one. And of course that's because she's also a great, in that sense, an actress. She knew exactly how to play. And she
Bauer went further, tying the birth controversies to larger issues he believes define Harry and Meghan's approach to their public image. He accused the couple of weaponizing accusations of racism and security fears to shield themselves from criticism. Every time they're cornered, Bauer said, they throw up a smokescreen, but it's wearing thin. He pointed to their lucrative Netflix deal and book contracts as evidence of financial desperation, claiming Harry and Meghan need the money now more than ever. He even suggested that their once polished image has started to show cracks, with fewer allies stepping up to defend them in public.
But what about when she talked about the fact that she experienced racism? I mean, I feel like that was heartbreaking to hear that she felt like she was in her own family. You know, her own family thought differently of her.
Race isn't a new construct in this world for people of color. So it wasn't a complete surprise to hear her feelings and to have them articulated. I think the thing that I hope for and the thing I think about is that this first and foremost is a family, and I pray for forgiveness and healing for them.
According to him, that desperation might explain why they're so fiercely protective of the narrative around their children. Any public doubt could threaten the very brand they've built since leaving royal duties. The family image, the humanitarian mission, the power couple aura, it all rests on a foundation that's now being questioned more than ever. Lady C echoed that sentiment with even sharper language. She accused Meghan of marrying Harry for status and wealth, only to discover he wasn't as financially secure as she'd imagined. She believed he'd be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions, Lady C said. And instead she found a man dependent on the institution she convinced him to attack. It was a brutal assessment, but it struck a chord with critics who believe that Harry and Meghan's relentless media projects have less to do with advocacy and more to do with survival. Many now wonder if their ongoing publicity efforts are driven more by financial need than any genuine mission. The atmosphere around Harry and Meghan has now shifted. What began as a public relations headache is morphing into something more serious. Legal analysts warned that if Harry follows through on his threat to sue, he risks opening the very doors he's been trying to keep shut. The threat of court is no longer just symbolic, it's a high-stakes move that could backfire in unimaginable ways. Lady C's defiance has become a rallying cry for those who believe the royal family has grown too comfortable silencing critics. Her blunt declaration, "let him sue me," wasn't just a jab at Prince Harry. It was a challenge, daring him to take the fight into a courtroom where evidence could be scrutinized in full view of the public. Legal experts say that's precisely why Harry may hesitate to follow through. Defamation lawsuits often require the plaintiff to open up private records. And in this case, those records could include the very birth documents Lady C and Tom Bower have been questioning. And with the public's curiosity at an all-time high, such a trial would be media gold.
Well, you know, Piers, you're the first person to say how limited Prince Harry is, unfortunately, and how his wife trades off her husband's fame and fortune, or not so great fortune now. I mean, this is the problem, but we're still interested because, after all, he's a great character in our modern day.
Well, you can't ignore them if they keep popping up doing stuff like this. That's the thing. We're kind of in a mutually abusive, toxic relationship, aren't we? The media and Harry and Meghan, because they keep doing stuff wanting attention. Then they get quite adverse reaction most of the time. Then they react really badly to the reaction. And so it goes on.
Well, what it really boils down to is the threat they offer. If the threat was punctured, which I hope my book will do.
The palace's muted response only deepened the intrigue. Instead of issuing a firm denial or supporting Harry's legal threats, Buckingham Palace released a boilerplate statement about refusing to engage in speculation. Behind the scenes, however, insiders claim that senior royals are deeply uneasy. The monarchy's reputation depends on the perception of unshakable legitimacy, and even whispers about birth irregularities can be corrosive. Silence in this case might do more damage than good. One longtime royal historian noted that questions about royal bloodlines have toppled dynasties in the past. If there's even a hint that Archie or Lilibet's status could be legally challenged, it would be catastrophic, he said. And in the age of viral headlines and TikTok investigators, even the smallest crack in the story could spread like wildfire. Social media didn't just react, it exploded. Within hours of Lady C and Bower's broadcast, hashtags demanding transparency were everywhere, flooding timelines and trending worldwide. Clips from the show have been shared millions of times, sparking heated debates, hot takes, and a wave of amateur investigations. And you already know what came next. TikTok detectives and YouTube sleuths are now combing through old videos of Meghan and Harry frame by frame, like it's a true crime series. The baby bump footage? It's back in circulation. Only this time people aren't laughing it off. Those viral clips where Meghan's belly appears to shift or fold oddly during public events, once dismissed as weird angles or awkward fashion choices, are now fueling a serious online conversation. Captions like, "Was this all a performance?" are racking up views by the millions. The internet isn't just curious anymore, it wants answers.
The internet went absolutely ballistic. I mean, people zoomed in, slowed it down, played it in reverse, all of it. Within hours, the whispers turned into full-on conspiracy sirens. Was her bump fake? Was it detachable? Twitter exploded. Reddit threads were on fire. YouTube was flooded with "Did you see that?" compilations. It wasn't just the fold that sparked suspicion. It was how that bump seemed to have a mind of its own. Some days it was up high and proud. Other days it barely peeked through. Sometimes it looked like it was doing the cha-cha as she walked. And sweetheart, don't even get me started on the videos where it just vanished from certain angles. Vanished. Like it was a Snapchat filter. At first, people laughed it off. Moon bump memes were everywhere. Late night comedians cracked their usual jokes. But then the laughter stopped.
And the fire just keeps growing. Tom Bower didn't stop at the birth drama. He came for the entire brand. He claimed that Harry and Meghan's public image hides a more chaotic private reality, one marked by financial strain and a constant need to control the narrative. Their Netflix and book deals? Bower says those aren't passion projects, they're lifelines. And now that their credibility is under the microscope, those deals could be in danger too. They're backed into a corner, Bower said bluntly, and they know it. Every time a story threatens to unravel, they go on the attack, hoping fear will shut people up. But here's the twist. Instead of scaring off critics, Harry's legal threats are only firing them up.
Well, he does it because he needs a profile. That's the only way they can get money, by showing the profile. And for Netflix, everything is built around the future documentary series to promote the Sussexes.
When you're as rankly hypocritical as Harry is, preaching about climate change, using private jets all the time, when he doesn't have to, is there not a point where the United Nations should avoid using people like him on a Mandela Day, for example?
But it was pretty empty, the auditorium, wasn't it?
Lady C never one to back down, seems more ready than ever. With decades of royal intel in her arsenal, she's hinted that she has medical timelines, confidential emails, and first-hand witness accounts. Yes, actual people who worked closely with Meghan during her pregnancies. And now, she's all but daring Harry to push forward with a lawsuit. If he wants this in court, fine, she said calmly. Let's see every document, every log, every record. Let's bring the truth to light. That kind of confidence, that's what makes her such a dangerous opponent. Lady C doesn't have a brand to protect. She's not chasing sympathy, airtime, or streaming deals. She's got nothing to lose, and that's what makes her fearless.
And in her mind, the show is the real wedding. Except when it comes to Harry, she flips the coin. The book states that Thomas Markle paid $20,000 towards the wedding. Now, Samantha was asked, but because it was a wedding on the beach, I know the hotel where they were married. There's no way that it's wheelchair friendly, and Samantha has been in a wheelchair for decades. Samantha sent her daughter. She was asked. Both Doria and Thomas were there, and Thomas helped to pay for the wedding. The guests, they had to pay for their plane fares, and they had to pay for their hotels. Interesting that.
Now the spotlight turns back to Harry. Royal watchers say the stakes are sky high. If he backs down, people may say he's hiding something. But if he pushes through with the lawsuit, it could unlock a courtroom spectacle that lays bare everything that Harry and Meghan have worked so hard to keep private.
But the point about her is that in her own terms, she is an astonishing success. She came from nothing, not a very successful actress. She had no money. She had no future after the Suits series in Canada. And suddenly she's an international star with quite a lot of money. And of course, in her terms, that's a great success.
Now, of course, she lied about never having Googled Harry when she gave an interview early on. We know from her friends that's not true, that she was very focused on the royals and had visited Buckingham Palace and had watched Harry at length after his mother died. So we know that's not true. And she turns out to be a serial fabulist, as your book outlines brilliantly.
And here's the irony. The more Prince Harry tries to control the story, the more out of control it seems to get. With every headline, every clip, and every whispered claim going viral, one thing is crystal clear. This isn't just a PR issue anymore, it's a full-on royal reckoning, and the world is watching every move. So now we're left wondering, what happens if this goes to court? Will Harry risk opening the palace vault just to protect a crumbling narrative? What receipts is Lady C really holding? And could they finally flip the script on the Sussex fairy tale? With every silent move from Buckingham and every bold claim from the critics, one thing's clear. This story is far from over. What do you think? Is this about justice, reputation, or control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you're still sipping this tea. And don't forget to subscribe for more royal realness.